Hi everybody. In today's video, we're going to talk about a very interesting and I think somewhat misunderstood topic, which is that of mold. In general, we all think of mold as the black spots that we see kind of in the bathroom if things are starting to smell a little bit weird. We know it's not good for you, but what really is it? So, and could your home have mold that you don't know about, and have that hidden mold be a big cause of why you're having very specific symptoms? And I will say I see this a fair amount. I'm seeing more and more in even high school and college, especially college age, because dorms and older apartments and places people may move when they're just getting started or in school can tend to have more of an issue. So to start out, mold is it's a fungus. So it's a fungus that is somewhat normal in the environment. There is a purpose, like everything, for mold. Some of them are good. They get rid of different organic materials that, is helpful to turn over in the environment. But like anything else, it can easily become an issue when when there's too much or too many different types that are not conducive to a healthy environment for humans. So what happens is that the mold itself, that fungus releases a type of toxin called a mycotoxin. And these mycotoxins are the ones that are more likely to cause problems. Some of the most common symptoms many of us have had, which is everything from fatigue to brain fog to respiratory and sinus problems to allergies, and more. And it can be often found as a co-infection. And what that means is our immune system in general is pretty good at handling these mold and mycotoxins when it is free to work on them. But very often, because they're so ubiquitous, like so common in our environment, if we get hit with something else, like COVID, or like a flu bug, or like another toxin in the environment, or certain issues related to certain jabs, then what happens is the immune system becomes totally overwhelmed. And when the immune system is overwhelmed, one of the first things that pops out to play is fungus and mold in an overgrowth capacity, releasing these mycotoxins. So I see a lot of times patients getting better from a lot of different things, and that last piece that's harder to go away is that of fungus and mold. And a lot of times that is because it may be a continual exposure, something that could be in your home, and there are various signs and clues you can get that it might be in the home. So one of the big ones is that musty odor and visible spots around like your vents in the bathroom, those classic sort of dark blackish kind of spots that you may see. Sometimes those are just on the surface. Very often they're a sign of a deeper problem, and they can lead to a lot of sinus issues and allergies. So if many people in the home, and that's the other thing, is I'll see people talking about how, oh my God, my kid has had sinus issues and we didn't understand why, or they were always healthy and we moved into this new place and suddenly, two of us are sneezing all the time. So the other two may still have a relatively intact immune system when it comes to handling mold. It doesn't mean they're not being exposed. It means their bodies may have a little extra capacity to detoxify from these mycotoxins. So make sure that if you are suspicious, and make sure you're also looking in your HVAC systems, like in your air conditioning, have somebody come out, look in the windowsills, look in the attic, look again, like I said, around the vents in your bathroom. These are some of the most common spots. Sometimes you'll see sneaky areas, kitchens, bathrooms, garages, where the paint in the wall will almost look a little bit bubbly. Sometimes that can be a clue that something's going on, or cracked around the windowsill. And it's pretty hard to evaluate this on your own. There are mold remediation type companies that also do testing, but you don't want that type of person to do your testing, because they're financially going to gain if they find mold in your home by doing the procedure to clear the mold out. So there are do-it-yourself kits now that are pretty exciting. We never had this before. We'll put the link below to one of my favorites, but you can actually get the kit sent to your house, take it and move it around different rooms, and you'll end up with a slide like you see looking under a microscope that you ship back to the company that has no financial gain from remediation, and they will test for various mold types and the level. So remember, there may be small amounts. It's more the toxic levels that can really lead to problems. And then once you have those results, then you can go and hire, if necessary, somebody to come in. The exciting thing is there are ways now to treat this. So again, when I see patients and they come in with these complaints, which are very broad, like I said, fatigue and brain fog we see with a lot of different issues, or a lot of different causes or blends of causes. So if you are first starting your treatment journey, or journeying into integrative medicine, when you work on healing your gut, which is the first step always, you're going to be, or your practitioner should have you treating fungus, yeast overgrowth, which is pretty common from antibiotic overuse, from frequent vaccines, from an immune system that's stressed, from eating processed and sugary foods, from eating yeasty type foods. This is common, so we will always treat that. And many times after a 2 to 3 month treatment protocol, which we'll discuss in a minute, patients get better, but sometimes they don't. There's persistent exhaustion, persistent brain fog. We've worked on things, again, like leaky gut, like some surface treatment of yeast or candida. We've worked on cleaning up the diet. We've worked on boosting the immune system. Maybe we've even worked on chronic viruses or parasites. If you've worked on a lot of this and you're still having symptoms, especially if you notice sometimes you may feel better if you travel. Or let's say you travel, let's say you feel okay at home and then you travel and you smell that musty smell and then you immediately don't feel well. And that happened to me a lot when I was on my healing journey, which that journey always continues, right? But as I was really deep in it, I found like I had brought in different modalities to help in my home. I never had a massive mold issue in my house, thank God, but I would go often on trips for work or for fun, and if I could smell that musty smell, I would find if I slept there that my sinuses would flare, I'd end up with a migraine, and I'd feel exhausted. So that was kind of a clue. I have a lot more tolerance for it now. So that's the other thing you guys will see as you get better and you continue working on your reserve, killing off mold and yeast, killing off chronic viruses, killing off parasites, whatever other infectious agents or toxins are pulling your system down, that your reserve for exposure or accidental exposure in the future will be higher. So how do we treat this? How do we deal with this? Well, things like vinegar and home, like even some types of bleach, which again, bleach itself can be toxic, but there are some natural ways to work on your environment. Many times it involves completely taking out the area of the mold infestation, which can be expensive and traumatic. However, the patients of mine that have not done that, replaced the air conditioning, replaced the ducts, taken out walls behind their refrigerator, if they try to patch around it, the issues persist. So it's better to bite the bullet, find out how bad it is, figure out the remediation process, and come up with a plan. The little touch-up areas, may work if it's a very small problem, and there's a lot of like natural, more organic ways to kill mold, spray around windowsills that are out and available right now. But what you want to make sure is that you don't have some very large area of mold infestation that you don't know about, and then that needs to be handled. Now, that is the environment. How do you heal your body? Because remember, what we see in addition to those obvious symptoms is worsening of other conditions, worsening of autoimmunity, worsening of generalized inflammation, itching, these types of reactions that nobody can figure out, sometimes hives, frequent sinus infections. Those types of things most often are related to mycotoxins and mold. There are ways to treat them. The most important thing to remember is that mycotoxins directly damage your mitochondria. So your mitochondria, again, the engines inside your cell that create energy, they do so much more than that. But when those have been damaged by mycotoxins, it becomes a vicious cycle, because then you don't have the energy available to you to fuel the immune system, which is the very thing you need to work on the mold and mycotoxins and on chronic viruses or parasites or other infections or toxins. So you've got to help bring support to your mitochondria, whether that is things like carnitine, CoQ10, PQQ, NAD. There's tons of incredible things that can help the mitochondrial function, but also making sure that you detox the mycotoxins. And so how we do that, ramping up capacity for the liver with glutathione, phase 1 and phase 2 liver support. Sometimes activated charcoal is necessary to bind the mycotoxins in the gut. So you're going to need a binder. You're going to need to make sure your gut has been healed, the leaky gut has been healed, that you take something to kill off mold in general. Sometimes if it's really bad, have to use a combination of prescription antifungals with a lot of natural support, things like undeclinic acid. There are other mold therapies and different types of supplement blends that are directly antifungal, tons of them that we can list below. But you want to make sure, in addition to the direct antifungal, that you're taking things that are directly for detoxification, because again, this is also emitting a toxin. So ramping up antioxidants, and then you want to make sure that you have binders to grab on to those toxins. So several different categories that need to be addressed. And what can be frustrating is, even if you have found the source of the mold, you get it out of the house or wherever you're living, it can still take months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to kill off the amount of yeast or fungal or mycotoxic load that you may have. The mitochondria will need almost like CPR, ways to ramp up oxygenation, ways to ramp up ATP production, NAD, things like that, to help the system while you're also detoxing and killing off the infection directly. The exciting thing is that when you're aware of this, we see people heal every day. So if you are you have a college age kid or early 20s, you may want to be aware of your environment. If you're kind of stuck where you're currently living, there are things like air doctors, which is a device that we like to clean the air. They can get different type of mold spores out of the environment. I've seen that really help. Even if you've cleaned your space, you may still want to get access to that. You want to pay attention to carpets and to curtains and get that stuff out, because that's more likely to collect spores. And simple things like washing your sinuses out at night before you go to bed. Staying aware, getting your body healed, knowing that this could be what's slowing you down. And when you guys take into consideration that your home environment is incredibly important. So many of us, we just kind of exist day to day, and if our environment looks nice, we think it's clean, we don't think about that. But having awareness, getting tested when you have suspicion, and then moving forward with remediation when necessary, with detoxification support, healing leaky gut, directly killing fungal spores themselves, and directly detoxifying. You guys are going to feel so much better. Your systemic problems are going to finally resolve, and you're going to be so thankful that you did. I hope this was helpful. Please like and subscribe. I can't wait to share more tips with you in the next video.